All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today we're digging into Leslie Pierce's groundbreaking work, The Imperial Harem. And honestly, you might want to forget everything you thought you knew about the traditional Islamic world. Seriously, we are going to completely flip the script. Because we're not just talking about women merely existing within a massive empire, we're talking about them actively, literally ruling it. So what actually went on behind the walls of the Imperial Harem? For centuries, popular imagination has painted it as this place of strict female seclusion, just total subservience to a male ruler, sort of a hidden world, totally detached from the actual gears of government. But honestly, that image, it's a complete myth. The reality of the harem is so much more complex, highly structured, and, as we'll see, incredibly powerful. Here's the timeline we're looking at, from roughly 1520, so right around the start of Suleiman the Magnificent's reign, all the way into the mid-17th century, the Ottoman Empire went through this incredible period often called the Sultanate of Women. During this time, high-ranking women of the Ottoman dynasty just completely shattered the idea of female political irrelevance. They were stepping up, acting boldly, and directly exercising supreme sovereign power. It's a real game changer. And this power was so real, it actually caused some major friction with the traditional male elites. Take Sunuyullah Effendi back in 1599. Now, this guy was the leader of the religious hierarchy, basically the top guardian of Islamic law at the time, and he actually publicly complained that women should have, and this is a quote, nothing to do with matters of government and sovereignty. He was aiming that directly at the Sultan and the dynastic family, which, just proves that this female political influence wasn't some hidden secret or a minor detail. It was deeply, heavily embedded right into the state apparatus. Plus, this authority wasn't just a local issue, it was recognized far beyond the empire's borders. Check this out. In 1583, Paolo Contarini, who was the Venetian ambassador to the Ottoman court, sent a report back to Europe with this absolutely stunning observation. He wrote, "All good and all bad come from the Queen Mother." So, foreign diplomats fully understood the assignment. They knew that to navigate Ottoman politics, you absolutely for sure had to deal with the royal women. They were the supreme political operators. Now, the specific woman that Venetian ambassador was talking about, that was Norbanu, the mother of Sultan Murad III. When she passed away in December 1583, the whole court was rocked. Some people were genuinely devastated, while others, honestly, were probably breathing a secret sigh of relief, because she literally held absolute power to grant or deny favors. But here is the kicker. Even her fiercest critics universally recognized her utmost goodness, courage, and wisdom. Her influence on the fate of the empire was just absolute, undeniable. And we have to be clear here, this wasn't just some behind-the-scenes whispering campaign. It was highly institutionalized. The whole power structure really rested on two apex positions. First, the Valida Sultan, meaning the royal mother of the reigning sultan, and second, the Haseki, which was the principal concubine. You see, these weren't just cute descriptions of family ties. No, these were official, heavyweight political titles. They gave these women the immense leverage they needed to build massive networks of patronage and essentially run the domestic factions. Okay, let's pivot a bit and look at the politics of reproduction. We're about to peel back the layers on the deepest structural secrets of the imperial harem. And as you'll see, that traditional view we talked about earlier, the one focused just on gender segregation, it completely misses how the actual mechanics of Ottoman power really worked. So here is the major paradigm shift. The long-standing myth, right, is that power in this society was this strict male versus female divide, with men just blanketly dominating women. But the reality? It was actually based on a senior versus junior divide. The real hierarchy wasn't strictly about your gender. It was all about generational authority. The senior generation completely subordinated the junior generation, and that was true regardless of whether you were male or female. Just think about how that played out in practice. Older post-sexual female elders, the real senior women of the dynasty, enjoyed a massive amount of respect from the older men. And at the same time, they fiercely controlled the younger, reproductively active members of the household. They were heavily scrutinizing and managing the behavior of young women, but also young royal males. For these elder women, getting older actually freed them from restrictions. It basically catapulted them right to the very top of the political food chain. And this internal dynamic didn't just stay in the harem, it rippled outward and affected the entire empire. Men and women alike gained or lost their political footing based entirely on these precise family dynamics. Because you have to remember, the Ottoman dynasty wasn't just some disconnected, sterile government body. It was considered the premier household of the state. By mirroring the everyday family structures that the broader society expected, the dynasty actually boosted its own legitimacy. So ultimately, the women who mastered these complex domestic factions, they were, in effect, pulling the strings of the empire's broader political factions.
Now, obviously, this female authority wasn't just confined behind walls. Let's look at what we'd call the public culture of sovereignty, because this incredible power didn't just stay hidden. It manifested loudly, proudly, and extremely visibly right in the public eye.
The sheer scope of what they did publicly is just staggering. I mean, these royal women acted directly as regents for their sons. They were the ones negotiating high-stakes diplomacy with foreign powers. They spearheaded the royal patronage of monumental buildings, and they managed these massive charitable endowments that literally kept entire cities running. Plus, they were front and center in elaborate imperial ceremonies. They were actively projecting sovereign power outward, directly to their subjects and to the rest of the world.
So these women were entirely fundamentally incorporated into the vital business of dynastic image-making. They functioned as living, breathing symbols of justice, of piety, and of munificence. Sometimes these powerful women were funding and building architectural wonders on a much grander scale, and were honestly way more publicly visible than the Sultan himself. They were absolutely essential to proving the legitimacy and, frankly, the ultimate glory of the Ottoman state. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought. If these internal dynastic family structures, specifically that senior versus junior divide, could literally dictate the fate of one of history's greatest empires, how do family dynamics continue to silently shape our modern political institutions today? It really makes you rethink where power actually comes from, doesn't it? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive, and as always, keep questioning the history you think you know.